Welcome to our 2026 Career Guidance Day. Amen. Are we happy to be here? Yes, this is a special day for all of us young people. Right. I just want to talk in brief before we hear from our speakers, before our speakers are introduced to us this morning. So I want to say to you, young person, that career guidance is essential for your development. Amen. It is very, very essential. It provides a foundation for you to be balanced and be prepared for both the future and the present. So you need an insight into where am I going in line with my career? So today our keynote speakers are going to touch on soft skills as well as AI. Amen. These skills as young people, they will affect us in the future and they can make us very influential people. AI will continue to transform the world, but the human character and soft skills will remain essential. Amen. So we need to hear and hear well this morning. The future belongs to individuals who can work alongside technology while showing creativity, compassion, wisdom, as well as leadership. And this morning, we are privileged that our sponsors, Kamagu Underwriting Managers Private Limited, have sponsored this beautiful occasion that we're having. They are registered financial service providers for short-term insurance products. They act as intermediary by offering insurance and reinsurance products to customers through brokers. Insurance is another profession that we'll talk about later in the day. So I want us to be grateful to the sponsors for this product, for this meeting today. Kamago Underwriting Managers Private Limited. And we want to give a clap offering with joy. Amen. Let's clap and be grateful. Good morning, Ablazes. Good morning, Ablazes. It's a pity I'm now in SWAT, so I think I'm just going to take advantage of the opportunity that I've been given today to go back to my Ablaze time. Amen. So by way of introduction, my name is Minister Nono Ndlovu, and I'll be your MC today. In terms of career, I am a corporate affairs specialist for an insurance company, and I'm responsible for all things communication. So we're talking digital marketing, internal and external communication, social media marketing, event planning, stakeholder engagement, public relations. There's just so much to my portfolio. And I'm pleased to be your MC today. So let's get right to the crux of what we are doing. I want to invite to the podium our first speaker for today. From Kamag Underwriting Managers, we have in our presence Deborah. Let me just read a brief bio of who Deborah is. Just a second, here we go. Excellent. Deborah van Dagen has spent the last 38 years working in the HR field, that's human resources. She grew up and matriculated in Johannesburg and attained her BCom degree from the University of Natal. She followed her undergraduate studies with a diploma in education and personal management and attained her master's in business leadership. Deborah has gained extensive experience at all levels of management, including directorship level in the areas of general human resource management, in recruitment, training, and labor relations. Since 1996, she has been running a human resource management consultancy, Common Ground, specializing in outsourced human resources services. And in 2003, she founded Hearts of Hope, a children's home caring for 52 orphaned and vulnerable children at any one time. That's 336 children that have been cared for since 2003. She is passionate about young people and the development of opportunities for the youth. Ablazes, join me in acknowledging and appreciating Deborah. Let's give her a resounding clap offering as she comes to the podium. Welcome.
Good morning. And I have to say, Ablaze! Thank you very much for having me. I haven't had an applause like that for a very long time. I might have to come back again. Thank you very much. So I work with one of your pastors, Vida, at Camargue, and we've been working together for many years and together have spoken about our sort of community initiatives. We're both very involved in the churches and outside of our kind of the money generating aspects of our lives. So what Vida asked me to speak to you about today was all about soft skills and how you prepare yourselves for development from a career point of view. So one of the items we touch on is communication, but you have an expert in the house, so I'm not going to spend too long on that. Can I just ask, did you guys manage to get, oh, there we go. Okay, so what I'm going to talk to you about today, you don't have to worry to take notes. The presentation will be available to you, so we'll share it. I do like to interact. So if you have any questions or if there's something you're not sure about, put up your hand, we can discuss it. The chances are good that whatever you're worrying about or what you don't understand is what someone else is also concerned about and someone else also has the same question. So please feel free to just put up your hand and we can have a chat. So today is all about unlocking your potential. So as you know, especially as Christians, we are born with that potential within us. Regardless of our circumstances, regardless of our environment, all of us are born with the same potential. And the challenge for you as young people is, what do you do with that now? In difficult environments, difficult circumstances, a country that's going through a very difficult economic environment, how do we unlock our potential? And what I want to do, encourage you today, is it starts small and it starts exactly where you are. So how many of you can't wait to be out of your mother's house or your family home and start earning money? Okay, good. But what I want to encourage you today is be patient, because there's lots of learning that you can do. And the advantage of doing all the learning while you're in your mom and your family's house is that you're doing it on their money. Because once you leave, you have to pay for it yourself. So take advantage of being in a family environment where hopefully you can get the learnings that you need in order to unlock your potential, both from a personal and a career point of view. So I think one of the things that's often forgotten about or is not focused on is when we're looking at our careers, it's not only your academic qualification that's important. What's really important is who you are as a person. And as you heard in the introduction, and I was alarmed when I did my mini CV and realized how old I was. You kind of forget when you're my age. But what we always say when we're recruiting and employing people, whether it's interns, whether it's people for scholarships or bursaries, whether it's for people to work in the organization, who you are as a person, we can't teach you. We can't teach you perseverance. We can't teach you resilience. We can't teach you honesty. We can't teach you to be a hard worker. We can't teach you to have integrity. We can teach you a skill. We can teach you how to underwrite an insurance. We can teach you how to use a computer. We can teach you how to use various programs. We can teach you fashion design, but I can't make you a fashion designer. I can't teach you how to work hard. And as a young person, those are the skills that you have to develop. Those are the skills that you have to practice. Because when you practice something, often enough, it becomes part of your identity and who you are. So if you think back, those of you perhaps who came to the church for the first time, it took months, perhaps for some people even years, to practice praying, to practice having a quiet time, to practice reading your Bible. And now it's become part of your identity, not so. So that you wouldn't even think twice if you're in a difficult circumstance about praying. And that's what we need to do with the skills that you need in order to succeed from a career point of view. Okay, if we can have the next slide. So what are soft skills? Soft skills are part of our personality, the things that we do in the way that we interact with people. And hard skills are what we call almost our labor. What do we offer to an employer? So you're going to learn about AI today. That's a hard skill that requires knowledge. So hard skills are incredibly important, and those are the things that you're learning at school, right? Your English, Afrikaans, maths, biology, geography, history, all of that is what you're learning, those hard skills which are your foundation. But in addition to that hard skills foundation, we need soft skills. And so soft skills are how we think, how we communicate, and that combination with your hard skills is what is the key for your success. So let's have a look at some statistics. 85% of career success comes from soft skills. It's the number one skill that employers want, and that's communication. And communication is how do you come, not how well do you speak English or any other language. It's really all about how do you communicate as an individual and as a person? How do you come across? So let's take, for example, you're in a job interview or you meet someone for the first time, and it's really cool to slouch and have your pants hanging halfway down your bum and to have 12 earrings in your ear and earpods in while you're talking to somebody else. And my daughter who's sitting here with me will say, Ma, that's a really old person's problem. But the reality is, unfortunately, we old people are the ones that are employing you. And until you get to our age, you have to suck it up and say, that old person who's irritating and doesn't like this, doesn't like that, but they are the key to your career, to your training, to your future. And there's a lot that you can learn just from respecting their knowledge and where they've come from. So it's the number one skill that employers want is communication. So I'm very happy to hear that you have an expert in the house. 3 times more hireable with strong interpersonal skills. Who of you here would identify yourself as being a shy person? You don't really like crowds, you're not really comfortable with new people and new situations. Anyone here shy? My daughter raised her hand. I'm saying she is not shy. Okay, so being shy, if you can believe it, I also used to be very shy. And when I first started working, people said, no, I can't believe it. But you're happy to talk to big groups of people. Well, I needed the money, so I had to start training people, so I had to suck it up. But what I did at school is I started getting involved in drama, and I cannot sing. So that's why I wasn't invited to join worship earlier, because people ask me not to sing. So I can't sing, but drama gave me the confidence to stand on stage and to say, okay, at least I can pretend to be someone else. And there's a great saying, fake it till you make it. And it's more about faking it until you believe in yourself that you can do it. So being able to have strong interpersonal skills, being able to talk to people, being able to go up to a group of strangers and speak to people is really important. 92% of HR leaders say EQ matters as much as IQ. What is EQ? Who knows what EQ is? Yeah? Emotional intelligence, thank you. Anyone heard of IQ? What is IQ? Stand up and shout. Your intelligence, exactly. Okay. So we used to always get measured by IQ, and IQ is a number. So if you're very clever, you have an IQ of 140. If you're not so clever, your IQ might be about 70. But most of us are sort of in between at about 100, 110. But intelligence does not define who you are as a person. Is that right? EQ is a teachable, learnable skill. So an emotional intelligence is really all about how in touch are you with yourself? How in touch are you with understanding who you are? And then importantly, how in touch are you with understanding the people around you? So have you ever heard the expression, read the room? So if you walk into, let's take an example at school. You've got all the cool girls. Their skirts are short, their hair's long and braided. All the guys think they're amazing. And you walk up to the group and they go quiet. What's the first thing that you think when that happens? What do you think? They were talking about me. Not so. They might not have been, but that's the feeling you get. They were talking about you. So if you go into the group and you say, hi guys, this is what's happening at a party tonight. I'm going, are you coming? And they look at you funny. If you're not reading the room, which means reading their body language, what they're not saying, they might make you embarrassed, turn their backs on you and walk away from you. So reading the room is all about understanding how people are behaving, acting, potentially thinking, and then deciding what your response to that situation is going to be. So you can either have a temper tantrum and roll around on the floor and burst into tears because nobody likes you, or you can say, hope to see you at the party tonight, and walk away. So one of the things that we have a problem with in society generally is bullying. And you'll learn when you talk about AI and the cyber world, those of you who've got cell phones know how difficult cyberbullying and bullying just on your WhatsApp and on your statuses has become within our environment. Emotional intelligence determines how we respond to that. To what's being said to us, whether it's in a group or whether it's on text or whether it's on social media. So if we have an SMS war, a WhatsApp war, we send rude TikToks, someone else sends rude TikToks, that doesn't solve anything. And we've always got to remember that emotional intelligence is what we leave behind when that's how people think of us. So if we're not reacting positively to something that has been said and we go back with a criticism and then they come back to us, that doesn't solve anything. When you're an employer, one of the first things that we do when we get your CV, if you're looking for a job, if you're applying for a bursary, if you're applying for an internship opportunity, the first thing that we do as HR people is go onto social media. Where are you? What do you do part-time? You told me in your CV, you go to church, you help students at a community hall, you've got a very close family. But when I go onto your social media, I see a different story. I see someone perhaps who's drinking a lot of alcohol, someone who's posting at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, someone who has got a lot of people that are commenting that they're unkind, that they haven't attended what they should have attended, that they haven't been where they should have been. And so all of that tells me a story that you can't tell me or that you won't tell me. Because obviously when we're going for an interview or we're applying for a bursary or an internship, we want people to think the best of us, right? But your social media tells me who you are. And your social media I don't even have to go that far. Your WhatsApp picture tells me who you are. So be very careful what you're posting, who you're posting with, and how you're posting, because remember, all of that is in the public domain. So when we as employers are looking for people to employ, we're not looking for people with fancy cars, fancy suits. I don't expect you to have that at 18 or at 23. What I am expecting is someone who's worked hard, whether they're at school or at university or college, and someone who's willing to go the next step to rise up in the corporate world. Because what you know by 2021, 18, the guys at the back particularly, is too late for anyone to teach you. The opportunity really is for you younger people in the front to learn and learn from others' mistakes and grab the opportunities that you have. Thanks. You can change the slide. So what are the soft skills that are really important in a corporate and work environment that we're looking for? Number one is communication, speaking clearly, listening actively, writing with impact. So of course now with AI, as you'll learn about, writing has become so much easier, but you still have to use your brain. It's the one thing that hasn't been taken away from us yet. So when you are using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever programs you use from an AI point of view, make sure that you still read through it, change it into your own words. AI should be your tool to understand a concept or what is being said, but not to replace you and your identity. Okay, that's really important. I'm not employing AI, I'm employing you. Okay. Teamwork, can you collaborate, support others? Do you share credit generously? So I read an interesting article about Amazon, and most of you will know about Amazon. They're an internet giant, I think one of the biggest in the world currently, besides Tencent, which operates from China. And Amazon have two things that they look at when they employ you. So it doesn't matter what your CV is, doesn't matter what your education is, what's most important to them. And it's something that I also rate when I do my recruitment, and I'll explain that a bit just now. But the two things Amazon look at is how polite are you to the receptionist? And when you've had your water or your tea that they've offered you in an interview, do you offer to take your tea or your cup or your glass to the kitchen? And their view is that somebody who is rude to the receptionist will be rude to a customer. They don't want you. Secondly, someone who doesn't offer to take their plate or their cup or their glass through to the kitchen or to wash it or to take it somewhere is someone who has a high level of entitlement and someone who expects to be served by the company. And what they want is people who are coming to serve. So we had an interesting experience with a client who employed a number of interns, 18 interns, people who had just left school, didn't have to be qualified, didn't have to have any particular knowledge, and they were offered a 2-year paid-for internship where they could learn skills. Of those 18 people, only 4 passed the first month. And it wasn't an academic requirement. What do you think was the reason why 14 people didn't pass? Any ideas? Communication and teamwork? Attitude. Please stand up. Thank you. Attitude. Unfortunately, for all of us, and the one thing I can tell you as a much older person, you will never have enough money. You will never have enough stuff. We will always want more. There will always be someone wealthier than you, better sneakers than you, better house than you, better car than you. And that's not all bad, because that motivates us to work hard and motivates us to keep inspired and to keep looking for more. But the one thing that we have to realize, and I think that's especially if you're a Christian, that you need to learn about, and there's a wonderful video by Bishop Desmond Tutu, who some of you I'm sure may not even have heard of, but he talks about servant leadership, and that's what Jesus did. If you remember when Jesus washed his disciples' feet, can you imagine God washing your feet? And that was Jesus' picture of servant leadership. And that is what we are required to be in the workplace. We cannot for a minute think, I'm too good to sweep the floor, make the tea, carry a cup, do the photocopying, do the filing, do the stuff that I don't really like. The reason that those 14 people did not pass after a month of working was attitude. They came late, they left early, working hours were till 4:30, they started packing up at 4 o'clock. Did you know that legally, in terms of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, you are required to be at work 15 minutes before work starts and 15 minutes after? You don't start packing up and polishing your desk at 4 o'clock. If lunch hour was an hour, they took an hour and 10 minutes. So what we look for when we're recruiting and employing people, if you look at what we've spoken about, is that emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence dictates, who am I when nobody's watching? Who am I when the boss is not there and is on leave? Who am I when I think it's just me in the coffee room and I take an extra donut knowing that there's only one donut per person? Who am I when I take 12 sandwiches knowing that there's only enough for 3 sandwiches for each person? Who am I when I arrive here early and I know that the chairs have to be set out and I wait until someone else comes because it's not my job? Who am I when the bottles of water that you've been given, I leave under my chair when I leave? And that nobody can teach you. You have to teach that yourself. And that is what determines your success versus another person's. So when we look at teamwork, you don't wait until you're in the corporate environment for teamwork. Teamwork starts exactly where you are. Playing sport, if that's an opportunity, is hugely important. And we look at your CVs. Have you played sport? Have you got involved in community groups? Have you volunteered? Have you reliably attended a youth group? Have you taught extra lessons? What have you done where you've given of yourself and you've proved that you're reliable and you're dependable? That's what volunteering and working during your school years and varsity years gives you, that makes you employable when you're finished. It's not the fact that you cleaned up at the SPCA or that you volunteered at a children's home. It's that you were allowed to because you were screened. It's that you were allowed to come back. It's that you showed up when it was cold. You showed up when it was hard. You showed up when you had to do things that you went the extra mile. And the references of community members, of nonprofit organizations, of your school, is really important, because when you leave school or you leave varsity or college, that's all you've got, is what everybody else thinks about you. So one of the things that we do in the corporate environment is, if someone resigns, we decide who gets a letter of reference, where we tell everyone exactly how they worked, who they were, what kind of person they were, and who gets what we call a certificate of service. When I receive a CV that has no reference and just a certificate of service, I know there's a problem. Why? Because the certificate of service just says, Georgina worked for Camargue from the 1st of January 2017 to the 7th of March 2022. That's it. Why? Because as the HR person, I don't want to put my name to a reference that you're going to use at another company where I'm responsible for your conduct, because I'm saying you're amazing, but you're not really. So those references are important, and references are built with every single person that you interact with. If you're at college, at university, they're built with your lecturers. Assignments were handed in. Assignments were handed in on time. And the fact that you have a job doesn't necessarily mean that you've arrived, because it's a lifelong process of proving yourself again and again and again and building your skills. So another thing we look at is problem solving. Can we think creatively? Can we think under pressure? Are there problem-solving solutions? And what we're looking for is not someone who can just problem solve in their area, but someone who can problem solve even for the whole company. So whether it's, we had a problem at Camargue where we've got in our parking garage, it's similar to what you've got outside here, we had shade cloth, but the poles were painted gray. And so people couldn't see them when they were reversing. And one of the interns, a young person of 19 who didn't even drive, said, but why don't we paint stripes on them so people can see? Because from up to that point, we'd had 4 accidents where people reversed into the poles and we had to pay for that damage. Something simple. That person worked in our underwriting department as an administrator. So problem solving is all about looking for opportunities to make things easier and make things different. If I can tell you how important it is when you make a first impression, when you arrive at a company, and it really goes for anyone, if you're in anyone's home, if you're in any public space, how you come across is really important. So when I'm interviewing and I know that I've got someone coming for an interview, the first thing I do is go into the office next to the reception, because I want to see how that person walks from the car park down to the reception. Can I ask you? Don't look at you. Can you go to the back of the chairs and just walk towards me? Just walk like you would like you would normally walk. Okay, you can turn around and walk towards me. Pretend you're coming for a job interview. Thank you very much. Okay, so without getting personal, what does it tell you? I'm relaxed, I'm happy, I'm cool. But you're coming to a corporate environment. Okay, so the first thing I look at is speed. Do I want someone? This is not what you look like. Shoulders hanging, slouching, dragging my feet, got all day. Or do I want someone who walks with purpose? Shoulders back, head straight. Have I got the job? No. Am I qualified yet? No. Have I got money? No. Can I afford the shoes on my feet? No. Do I look like I can? Absolutely. So speed, how you come across confidently. Then you go to reception and you say to a fancy, "What's up? I'm here to see," what's that chick's name? Van, oh, she's got a weird name. Van something. And a fancy says, "Good morning." "Oh, yeah, how's it? Let me take you to your seat and I'll let Deborah know that you're here." And you sit down. I need a chair. Can I borrow a chair? So you take your seat in reception. Where's my phone? Oh. Now, it might be that you got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get to the interview. And it might be that you are tired. And it might be that you are exhausted. But you cannot come across like a lazy, don't care person. So you want to sit up straight. Because remember, I'm in the room next door watching. And everybody has CCTV. And they're watching. And then Mum Nomsa brings you a glass of water. And you go, "She's old enough to be your grandmother." And then you don't finish it, or you just leave it on the table. And you walk out once I come through and you say to a fancy, "My glass." Do you think, if your CV says you're a graduate, top of your class, with that kind of conduct, you have a chance? You've just saved me an hour in my day, because what you've just displayed, I can't teach you. That's all the soft skills. Time management, you're there early. Do not, when an employer says, or so you're going for a bursary interview, say to the person, "Please, can you send me a PIN?" Not my job. "Please, can you send me the location? Please, can you tell me where the Uber route is? Please, can you tell me the closest taxi rank?" No. If I'm expecting you to problem solve, I'm expecting you to solve the problem of getting to the organization on time at the right place. That's problem solving. So when you go for an interview or you have any discussion with anybody, they are always assessing this stuff. Can you do all of this? Because none of this can I teach you by the time you come to a work environment. Are you adaptable? So adaptable means, can you change? So thanks so much. We're going to go next door to the warehouse. We're not going to have the interview here. But I'm wearing, have you seen these heels? There's no ways I can walk to that warehouse. So looking the part is not nearly as important as how you conduct yourself. Okay, you can have the next slide. Building confidence. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's a skill you practice daily. How do we build confidence? Do something every day that scares you. Who's scared of heights? Stand on a chair every day. Every day. Stand on a chair. In 6 weeks' time, stand on a stepladder. These stairs, come to church. These stairs are terrifying. Have you seen how easily you can slip through these stairs? 10 years ago, you would never have got me on these stairs. Never. When Katiwi said we're going in the lift, thank you, Jesus. Okay, practice what you're scared of. One of my favorite sayings is, if your dreams don't scare you, they aren't big enough. So when we had a vision to open a children's home, and we have 52 children that stay with us, mainly orphan children, but some have been removed from families because of neglect or abuse. We thought, let's start one house, 6 children. And I was in church the one day, and God gave me a vision of an L shape, and that was for our first house. I thought, there's no ways we can build that first house. And then I came across this saying, and that vision really scared me. And we now have 4 houses and 52 children. And every time, thank you, the glory's really all to God, because we couldn't have done it ourselves. And every time someone visits, they're saying, are you taking over the whole street? I say, please, Jesus, let us take over the whole street. Very difficult when you're working with government, but that's another whole seminar all by itself. Okay, so how do we build our confidence? Start small, stand on a chair, win big, set tiny, achievable goals. Those of you who have quiet times, add journaling to your quiet time. What do I want to achieve? Driving a Ferrari is not a goal, that's a dream. Okay, dreams are lovely, dreams are fabulous, but goals are all about what can I do? Can I improve my marks at school by 2%? Can I submit an assignment 3 days early? Can I save enough money to buy a new pair of shoes and not have to go and buy secondhand? Can I start volunteering somewhere? Can I start tutoring same way? Can I ask for help for tutoring? Okay, those of you who would ever look at my maths mark will know I really needed a lot of help. Own your story. Your experiences make you unique. Share them proudly. Not all of us come from great backgrounds. Not all of us come from money and support and reliable, stable families. That we're all different. But that's your story. And as we know as Christians, God didn't make a mistake. Do we ask the question, why did you put me in this family and not someone else's family? Yes. Will we ever have the answer? Probably not. But he gave all of us the potential, and he's looking at us to unlock that potential. But he can't unlock it. We have the key. That's the blessing of freedom. We have the key. So when we want to own our story, I'll tell you about an amazing, amazing man we employed at Camargue. His name was Hloni. And when Hloni came to me for an interview, he had his matric, no other qualifications. And he arrived with blue suit pants, gray blazer, and his school shirt. And I knew it was his school shirt because not only did he tell me, because the first thing he did was apologize for wearing his old school shirt. Don't apologize for who you are, because that person should be able to look beyond your appearances. When he left the interview, he was so impressive during the interview, and the most impressive thing about him was his humility. When he left the interview, I noticed on the back of his shirt collar, it was almost in shreds. I mean, it was literally held together by pieces of cotton. Today, Hloni, 12 years later, is still with Camargue, has studied further, and has worked and worked and worked. And what do people say about Hloni? Not his qualifications, not his skills. They only talk about the person he is. And the person he is Hloni will help. Hloni will make it happen. Hloni will work late. Hloni will be there if we need him. Hloni shows up. Timekeeping, and not what we call pulling the ring out of it, is such an important value. Because it's who am I when nobody's looking? Am I coming to work on time? Am I coming back from lunch? on time. So one of the things that Cloney did was owned his story. His family were not wealthy. After school and on the weekends, he helped his mom in a spaza shop. When he had finished school, his uncle ran a construction business, a small business, and so he used to work on the roofs because he wasn't afraid of heights. And he would put the roofs up and help his uncle. What appealed to us was not that he had anything to offer us. He had absolutely no skill, but he had himself. And that was the difference about who he was. And he had worked his whole school career. He helped his uncle. He helped his parents in the spaza shop. What did that tell me? Cloney knows how to be trustworthy with money. You've all got families. You know, some family members, you can't have them in your spaza shop. He was trusted with money. He came to work on time. He wasn't afraid to overcome his fears and stand on a roof. And now you can't believe the suits he wears because he affords them. And I've asked him always to keep that shirt because that shirt was his gift. That shirt was the start of his career because he owned it proudly. That shirt was clean. That shirt was paid for. He'd worked hard in that shirt, and he had a right to be proud of that shirt. He owned his story. Okay. Ditch the inner critic. And that's really hard with social media. You will never be pretty enough, in my case, thin enough, have fewer wrinkles enough. It is the way it is. But if we don't believe in ourselves, how, when you go for a job interview, will that person believe in you? Because it comes across if you don't believe in yourself. And I need you to believe in yourself so that my customers believe in you. Okay. Body language is important. Stand tall. Make eye contact. Fake it until you make it. Fake it until you believe in it, and eventually you will believe in it. Celebrate your progress. People who are successful, not with pride necessarily, but are able to tell people, I did this, I did that, own their story. But you've got to have things that you're proud of. If you go home at the end of the day and you haven't done one thing you're proud of, then that's a really good goal to have. Whether it's making my bed better than I did yesterday, washing the dishes at home because I haven't done them for 6 weeks, vacuuming the lounge as a surprise for a family member. Whatever it is, do one positive thing that you haven't done in the week before. Next slide. So communication, I'm just going to really go through very quickly because you're going to be doing a lot more of that in the program. But 55% of it is body language, 38% tone of voice, 7% is what you're saying. So if I stood here today, and I said, hello, I'm coming to talk to you about how exciting it is to go to work. And I hope that you can listen to me for a whole hour because I'm going to talk like this for an hour. Hopefully it's been better than that. So body language is important, and that's why I'm really glad that I wasn't, up on a stage, because you've seen I like to move and I like to give examples. Tone of voice. If you talk like this all the time, then people think you are really boring. Okay, and tone is even if you're not feeling enthusiastic. So when you arrive at a group or with friends, start listening to tone. So if someone comes into your group or comes into your space and says, how's it? Or how's it? How are you? Excited for the day? Okay, if you're doing that all the time, then that's also painful. So read the room. Okay, and your words are only 7%. I can see my hours up. 7%. So people won't remember what you say. They won't necessarily remember what you do, but they'll remember how you made them feel. So did you, in an interview, make that person feel when you leave, wow, that was a positive experience? Or, oh my gosh, I had to be polite, but I couldn't wait for it to end. Every single interaction we have with anybody, we choosing what we leave them with. Next slide. So teamwork and leadership. How do we be a great team player? Lead without a title, lead by example and not authority, and then conflict resolution. So when you have a chance to go through the presentation, those are really important. Being a team player doesn't mean you have to play in a soccer team. It can be in your Bible study group, the group that you do assignments with or projects with. Leading without a title is all about servant leadership. It's not my job is going to be your biggest downfall in your whole career. It's not my job to take the teacups through, that's NOMS's. It's not my job to do the filing. The people who succeed are people who did things where it wasn't their job to do it, because they were doing things when nobody is watching. When you're doing things that is not your job, you are doing them most often when nobody's watching. And that indicates the character of the person. Okay, next slide. So we have what we call a growth mindset. So a fixed mindset, and this is a key principle for us within Camargue, and Vida will tell you how much we talk about it and how much it's applicable to every single level of person in the organization. So a fixed mindset, which means that's how I think, and that's exactly where the devil wants us to be broken and stuck, and in a fixed mindset where we don't believe that any change is possible. So the fixed mindset says, I'm bad at this, I give up, I can't do anything right, this is too hard, and I'm not smart enough. And it might be that in your world, not only is that what you think of yourself, but there might be someone telling you that. There might be someone that says that's who you are. So I have a difficult mother. You can talk to Emma afterwards and she'll tell you if she has a difficult mother or not. But Emma and I have unfortunately both been on the receiving end of this difficult person. And if we believed what she said on the left, we would be stuck in a very big hole. So the growth mindset is turning away from that and saying, I'm not good at this yet, but I can be. And you might not be the best, but you can be better. Let me try a different strategy, problem solving, creativity. Let me try a different way. Let me ask for advice. I can improve with practice. I don't do things once and give up. And anything that you will learn about AI is that AI, the tool and the blessing of AI is about practicing with AI and teaching AI what you need and how you need it. Okay, persevering. This might take more time and effort than I predicted or that I expected, and I can grow my abilities. So the growth mindset is all about this might be where I am, but it's not where I'm going to be forever. And we might never reach our goal. And for me, that's really important. So as someone who's getting older, and I think I'm probably the oldest one in the room at the moment, the dreams are important. the dreams and or the ambition that keep you going, it will never be enough, and that's a good thing. You need to keep learning. You need to keep trying new things, going in different directions, experiencing new and different things. Okay, next slide. So how do we put this all into practice? Whether you're at school, whether you're working part-time, online or in your community, building your soft skills has to be practiced, and you have to implement it within your environment. Young people at school, please don't wait to learn everything until you finish school. Then it's too late. Teachers, I know, can be difficult. Teachers can sometimes be painful. Within a children's home, we have a huge problem where teachers are always expecting my children to be delinquent. And I spend a lot of my time telling my children, prove your teacher wrong. And the principal said to me, oh, aren't you teaching them to be disrespectful to the teacher? No. I want them to prove to the teacher who they are, that they are bright, that they are intelligent. The fact that they are orphaned and the fact that they never went to school before they were 7 years old does not make them useless to society. Prove them wrong. Prove your family members wrong. Prove the person who says you can't that you can. And all of that is up to us. So how do we do it? There are various ways we can do it. Either at school, getting part-time jobs. Part-time jobs might not pay, but there are many, many jobs that start off as volunteering and become full-time paid positions. Okay, next slide. So your 30-day challenge. Work on week 1, your communication. Every day start one conversation with someone you don't normally talk to. Practice active listening. Listen to someone before you finish the conversation. Week 2, those of you who are nervous, stand on a chair, build your confidence, answer a question in class, present an idea, try a new activity. Week 3, teamwork. Organize a team. If you don't have a team, organize a team. Winter's coming up. Let the 3 of us collect something, do something. Saturday in 3 weeks' time, that's how I started running a children's home. I had an amazing, amazing friend, and Joel would say, we're working in Alex in 3 weeks' time, we're doing a soup kitchen. Are you mad? I'm a white girl going into Alex. Yeah? And we went, and we did it, and it was amazing, and I met amazing people. And what did I learn? I learned that I can make soup. My family will say that's all I can make. But I learned not to be afraid. I learned to do something different, and I learned to be part of a team. And teamwork from a sport point of view wasn't an option for me. They asked me not to play netball. So I had to find other teamwork alternatives. And then reflection. Journal, write down for 5 minutes a day. Know yourself. Admit to yourself. Who am I? What did I do that wasn't great? What did I do that I'm not proud of? And that's an important ally to your quiet time. Okay, last slide. You've got this. You start before you feel ready. Every interaction is practice. Every single time you interact with anybody. How you treat a cashier at Spa tells me who you are as a person. Are you respectful, or are you so proud that people who do menial jobs don't get your respect? Progress beats perfection. You're young. What an opportunity. I don't wish I could go back to where you are, because emotionally it's really hard. But such an opportunity awaits you. And progress is important. The end goal is not as important as the steps you take to get there. You have the opportunity now to prepare for your future. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." but God needs us to do our bit. He can't give us all those promises if we sit and do nothing. It's up to each of us to take that responsibility to unlock our potential and to be what is planned for us. Okay, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Wow, wow, wow. We can do better than that, Ablaze! Wow, 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 wow. Deborah, that was incredible. Media team, can I just have another mic? If you don't mind, just to join me once again. I want to give Ablaze the opportunity to ask this well of wisdom, this well of knowledge, some questions. And maybe let's just start off. I'll ask a question. I think there was an interesting part that you touched on that a lot of us are oblivious to, especially when it comes to a job interview. So what happens when I'm genuinely nervous? How is that going to be misinterpreted to maybe disinterest or discomfort? But I'm nervous, I'm scared, it's my first time coming, and I really, really want to make a good impression. What would you say to that?
So nervousness is good because it motivates you to do well. The one thing I would definitely say, practically, don't ever ask for a cup of tea or coffee. Because you will pick up the tea. Okay. Bring your own bottle of water. And if you're like most of us, we refill those bottles until they can't be refilled anymore. But bringing your own bottle of water, if you ask the company for water, water is expensive, so companies won't necessarily have a bottle of water. And the same thing if they give you a glass, you're shaking the glass and spilling the glass. So you want to just quietly sip on your own bottle of water that you can take with you. The advantage of a bottle of water, if you don't want to take notes, is it helps you hold on to something, which is useful practically. It's always good to have a notebook and take notes. And the reason for that is that you take notes all the time. You've been taking notes since grade 1. Mm-hmm. So you just calmly write down. They, unless they're like me, can't necessarily read upside down. But the advantage of the notes is that your notebook has interview questions. Because when you're nervous, you go into a space and your mind goes blank. You've prepared, you dressed, you're there on time, and you get there and So the best thing is to say, do you mind if I refer to my notes and I'll ask you some questions? Don't ask a question that they've just answered. But ask a question like, is this an organization that you think would be able to offer future training and education programs? The advantage of the questions is it shows me on the other side of the desk that you've prepared, that you take this interview seriously. So, and that's of course where AI is amazing. They can come up with amazing, simple questions, and you only need 3 or 4. Don't have 27 questions, which you might have, because then the interviewer is going to say, oh my gosh, they're so intense, too high maintenance. Okay. But 3 to 5 questions that are interesting will enable you to write, and you can press as hard as you like so that you stop shaking, and have a book and just breathe. People are expecting you to be nervous, but they're not expecting you to be silent, because you have to own your story. And so even in your little notebook, you've got your questions. You can also write down a few key points. Where did you go to school? When did you finish school? Okay, you don't want hesitation. So notes of your history, what you've done. Remember, I must talk about when I went on a school camp and I was leader of the group. Those are important. It tells me you're trustworthy. It tells me you're prepared to rise up. I helped in the kitchen when my uncle had a funeral and the cooks didn't arrive. Whatever circumstances you can do, have those there so you remember to talk about them, and it tells us something about yourself.
That's great. All right. Does anyone have a question before I ask my other question? Ablazes? All right. While the Ablazes are coming up with their question, I want to ask, I've been a naughty teenager. I haven't had that credibility or that stamina built. And now I've had a sudden change of mind, turning over a new leaf, but I don't have people to back me up. Nobody trusts me. My mom can't, she doesn't think I can do. How do I then grow out of that to say, look, I've been bad before, but I want to change. And I really want to prepare myself for the future, for the corporate, or even just to do well in varsity. What would you say to that?
So for me, what's most important is step by step. You're not expecting to be, I kind of think of Saul and Paul on the road to Damascus, that it's a complete transition.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're still who we are when we go home, with those temptations, with those failings, with the things that I prefer to do. I think for me, that introspection and that journaling and writing down, what do you really want? So you have to prove yourself step by step. And those little steps are, if your mom thinks you're unreliable and she says be home at 10, be home at 10:15.
Okay.
You've got to build everyone else's trust in you. When they say, please go to the shop, but please bring me back the change, bring back the change. Come back. Oh, I went to my friends and I saw so-and-so and I saw so-and-so. Do things that people don't expect you to do. And it's little steps. It's building up faith and building up trust again. And for me, the big thing is, I think that your advantage is that nobody else knows. I won't know that as an employer, but I might be able to see it. Okay. And so I think what also comes with confidence and going for interviews is, unfortunately, and whether it's right or wrong, it's just the way it is. Older people are the people employing you. Yeah. Older people are conservative. When your mother said, don't get a tattoo on your neck, because she doesn't like it. Yeah. You go to Investec Bank for an internship, they will not interview you if you have a visible tattoo. They will not. In their call center, they will not interview you, guys, if you're wearing earrings. Sure. They won't. Call center, you're never going to see a customer ever. Sure. Girls, if you have nose rings, tongue rings, because it creates a picture, justified or not, that people judge you, and then they say, this is what I think you are. People are looking at you through the eyes of their customer. Customers have got money, not so? It's true. So customers will decide whether I think you look good enough to help me or not, or if I think you're going to give me bad service or not. It's just the way it is. So keep your earrings, your nose rings, your piercings for at home. If you have got a tattoo, make sure that you put it where it's covered. My sons have tattoos, much to my absolute horror, but they're not where I can see them. Okay.
So perception, public perception really matters. And with an interview, you only have one chance to make an impression.
And you don't have the interview. You have walking from the door down the driveway. That's where it starts. Sure. When you get out the car, when you walk through the gate is where your interview starts. Your interview doesn't start when you walk into the interview room. It starts long before then.
Blazers, are we hearing all of this? All right, so you touched on fixed mindset, growth mindset. So I don't necessarily have somebody who's blatantly saying to my face, you cannot do this. But they have snide remarks to say, oh, but girls can't be engineers. Girls can't drive. Why don't you get married and start a family? How do you overwork or go through those remarks that did not say Deborah,
But you can feel that this is about me. I'm not sure. Am I not good enough? Will I not attain this? How do you navigate that?
So I think the blessing is to be in a church, because a church really gives you a sense of self and self-worth, and that's gold, because it's really, really tough. My mother bought me a chess set when I was 12 years old. She didn't know how to play chess, but my father did. And I will never forget going to my dad and saying, "Can you teach me how to play chess?" And he said, "No, it's for boys."
Wow.
And so you will always get elements of people who might not say directly to your face, but will have snide comments. I teach my 5-year-olds, talk to the hand. Tell the bully, talk to the hand, and then go and tell someone you trust. And so I think that principle still applies, but it only applies if we have a strong core. And that strong core comes from knowing who you are, what you want, and where you're going, because no one can take that away from you. Throughout our lives, there are going to be people who say you can't and you shouldn't and you mustn't, and I don't think you should have. But if you know who you are, and that's why when your pastors talk about your identity in Christ, that's what it is. Because we don't need human approval, but we're human beings. And so it's always much nicer to have human approval. But I think your self-knowledge of your self-worth and where you're going and what you want, when you know what you want, it's the same as going on Waze. I tell Waze how to get here because I haven't been before. Waze can tell me go via Pretoria. I choose not to listen.
Yeah.
But you have to be the one that decides what you want. Not easy, but you have, and you make that decision every single day. I remember getting out of a lift at Woolworths and I was concentrating on something, and another lady walked into the lift and she said to the person next to her, "Gosh, she's grumpy." I thought, I wasn't grumpy. I was just concentrating on something. So people will always judge you, even if they don't know you, but you have to know who you are.
People always judge you, even if they don't know you. So it's up to you how you respond to those comments. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the brilliant presentation. I know I'm not Ablaze, but how do you work on your body language? Because you said body language is 55% of my presentation. How do I work on the body language that I want to portray?
So close friends are really good. Children are fabulous because they tell you exactly how it is. Without being kind of self-absorbed, the best way and one of the great ways are videos of yourself, because you don't know what you look like until you see a video of yourself. I'm sure you've seen a picture of yourself and you think you look fabulous. And then someone takes a photo and you think, "Oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Look what I look like. Why didn't you tell me those pants were too short and that jacket was crooked and the colors didn't really blend and you had stripes and solids and too much gold jewelry?" So having someone who you can ask for feedback, and that's a tough thing. So a partner is great because they'll tell you like it is. But a good friend to say, "Please give me feedback on how I come across." I remember doing it. I was a HR director of a company, and we had a performance appraisals, and the team could give feedback upwards. So normally in performance appraisals, which is where companies manage your performance, they tell you what's wrong with you and what you're doing right. But this round, we had an opportunity for them to tell the manager. And they said to me, all three people said to me, what really irritates them about me is I always interrupt.
Oh.
So I said, "What? I never interrupt." They said, "You interrupt all the time." So I'm a very task-oriented person. I'm not a very touchy-feely, make you feel good about yourself person. And if I was had a task and I wanted something done, I would go up to a group of people and I would say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can I just ask you to go to XYZ and do this? And I said, you do that all the time. And it's really annoying.
Sure.
I thought, sure. That was rough feedback. I mean, that was 30 years ago. But I'm always mindful now of not interrupting. And I don't interrupt to be rude intentionally, but I've got a job to do. I haven't got time while you two are nattering. I want to get my job done. So being open to feedback is really important. How you sit, how you walk, how you conduct yourself, and getting someone to take a video of you is really useful to see how you come across. Okay.
Thank you for that. Do we have another question? Yes, Terry. The mic is coming to you just now.
Use a big voice.
Good morning, ma'am. Thank you so much for that one.
1, 2.
In your presentation, you mentioned a point on the aspect of communication and memory in school. So I want to understand how do I control the tone of my voice when I'm given a platform to speak and I get there on the platform. I'm so nervous.
Nervous. Okay. Thank you. That's a good question. So the question was, how do we control tone of voice? And again, the best is video. So when you video yourself, and you can do that in your room, video the presentation that you're giving and then watch it and be critical of how you're coming across. And so there were a few people, and I know I've been speaking for an hour, there were a few people who were like dozing off, and it's cold and there's not a lot of windows open, but that's your first indicator. It's becoming boring. Okay, so moving around is great if it's possible. Using expressions, using jokes, enables you to change your tone of voice. But really the best advice I can give is video yourself and see how you're coming across. Because, you know, it's like people, if you hear people on the radio you don't notice it when you're speaking. But when you listen to yourself and you've had it recorded, then you realize what you look like and sound like. And it's practice, practice, practice. And nerves are good. I was nervous. I speak to a lot of people publicly. But nerves are good because they motivate you to do it well. Okay.
This is incredible. Thank you so much.
And I'm using your time.
Oh, good morning.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Good morning, church.
Good morning.
Okay, very good question. And that was one of the things with being nervous, because often when we're nervous, you kind of look down or you look down at your notes. And also, there are cultural differences in terms of eye contact. So, without being racist, it's in a white environment, or if a white person is interviewing you, they want eye contact all the time. And many white people don't understand that in many African cultures, maintaining eye contact with a person older than you is disrespectful.
Yes.
So just be aware of that. Eye contact is important, okay? And so if it's not something you're comfortable with, again, you have to practice it. And someone will say, you're not looking at me, okay? And eye contact is important, making eye contact. And if you find the person distracting, I know you're looking uncomfortable now. If you find the person distracting, then look just here, because it still looks like you're making eye contact. But don't make eye contact, but actually you're looking at the person behind you, okay? Or looking on the wall. So another thing that's really important, especially for girls, you've got it easy, guys, But in some religions, the men are not allowed to shake hands with the woman. And so only if a man offers their handshake when you go to an interview, then lift your hand. Don't, as the woman, put your hand out first. If they're Muslim, if they're Jewish, some other religions, they're not allowed to touch women. And then and then you feel awkward, and that's going to make you even more nervous. Okay, so wait until they put your hand out. And then just, guys, a handshake is a professional handshake. So can you stand here for me? Come to the front. Sorry, last thing. I know I'm taking your time here. But a professional handshake in a professional corporate community. Okay, remember, corporates and companies operate by what they call an international standard because there's so many different people. You can't possibly take into account everyone's religious beliefs, okay, or cultural preferences. So they use an international culture, international standard. And a handshake is just that. Firm. You've got a good handshake. There's nothing worse than a wait. And girls, don't firm.
Girls?
You don't have to break their hand. Firm.
Yes.
Okay, not because I'm a girl. Okay, don't do that. Please do not do. Do not. White people don't know how to do that. And then that guy's embarrassed because you're doing all of these things and I don't know where I'm. Okay, just the boring handshake. Okay, thank you.
Wow. Let's clap hands once again for Deborah. I know in some places we pay lots of money just to have this knowledge. Can I now invite Elder Katie? We have something to appreciate you and thank you for taking your time. Katie will present it for us. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. We are moving on with our program, Ablaze. Are we still excited to be here? Are we learning? All right, so we're just going to dial in to our next speaker for this morning. Allow me to read our speaker's bio. We have Professor Manivi, who is joining us online via Google Meet. So we will be having Professor Ronald Manivi, who is an associate professor and director at the Bindura University of Science Education. Professor Ronald Manivi is one of Zimbabwe's leading voices on artificial intelligence, and he is on a mission to make AI work for Africa. He holds a PhD in computer science from the University of KwaZulu-Natal and serves as the founding director of the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Technologies at Bindura University of Science Education. With over 14 years of experience, he has led technology projects worth more than $6 million across 5 African countries and built AI-powered health tools reaching thousands of young people. Today, he brings the same heart to the stage to share how young people like you can step boldly into the world of AI to shape its future and use it as a force for good. Media, please help us so that we are able to connect with the professor.
Hello,
Good morning, Professor. Can you hear us?
can you hear me?
We can hear you, Prof. Are you able to hear us? I think we are muted. Yes. Good morning, Prof. Are you able to hear us?
Good morning, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. And welcome to Harvest House, Johannesburg and Western Cape Hub, Ablaze Career Guidance Day.
Yes, thank you.
Over to you. We have already read your profile. We are eager to hear from you. So I'll just hand over to you to proceed with your presentation.
Okay, no, that's perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen and please allow me to just also disable my video for just this. I think maybe you can see me from that end. Okay, so I'm going to briefly disable. So let me just share my screen. Okay. I'm trying to share my screen. It's not giving me an option.
Prof,
Okay.
are you able to email it to us? Then we can try and project it from our end. Can I put down an email address on the chat box?
Okay, let me do that.
All right, just a second.
I think that works.
Okay. He can show it even on the screen. You can share the screen. Okay.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
No. Okay, something's coming up.
Okay.
There we go. Something is loading.
Okay. Can you
AI
see
and
my
the
screen
future
now?
of careers. Yes, we are aligned. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I believe you have. I'm going to just cut straight to the cheese. So I believe you have been introduced to me. My name is Ronald, and I'm working as a professor at Bindura University in Zimbabwe, and I'm a professor for artificial intelligence. So today I'm going to take you through a session on AI. We normally shorten it as AI. So it is artificial intelligence and the future of careers. So I'm going to have my presentation in about 35 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes, and then we can actually have the session for us to actually have a discussion. So the purpose of my presentation today is to discuss the opportunities and the challenges presented by artificial intelligence in the present day, and to also talk about the future of careers in the advent of artificial intelligence. So I'm going to start with Chidi, a 16-year-old guy who is who is living in 2030. So he wakes up in the morning and he goes to his WhatsApp and he gets to see this artificial intelligence assistant that has already summarized his homework by just analyzing everything that was in his WhatsApp. And at school, he learns how to ask AI the right questions and how to check whether the answers are true. And after school, he's actually accessing artificial intelligence through all the gadgets at his home. Like, I believe some of you have actually seen the Alexa at home. And after school, he also earns some pocket money by helping the local shop owner to set up an artificial intelligence tool for customer messages. And by the age of 18, Chidi has skills that didn't even exist when his parents were in school. So this is the story that has actually made us to be connected today, where we see that Chidi lives in a world that has already arrived. And the critical question that we want to answer at the end of this presentation is, will you be ready for this? And yeah. Yeah. Okay. So should I continue or should I wait for the recordings? Okay. So I would like to ask everyone who is there, what do you think about your morning in 2025? I need you to imagine it's 2025, 9 years from now. What do you think the morning would look like if you were to imagine what AI can do today? Do we have any takers for that question? Okay. So I think I'm going to leave that as a rhetoric and then maybe we'll ask questions at the end. Is that okay? Okay. So I'm going to start by talking about storytelling. I'm going to talk about a story. I believe some of you have had what we call the Industrial Revolution. So the key difference between what we call a revolution and an evolution is that in evolution, most of the times the change is gradual. It comes in pieces, piecemeal. And then when it's a revolution, sometimes it just comes in a radical way. It just changes everything without you trying to resist it and in any way that is different. So I'll start with this Chinese proverb that says, when the winds of change blow, some people build walls and others build windmills. What this proverb is simply talking about is that whenever there is a technological innovation like that presented by the artificial intelligence technology, some people are going to be affected in a negative way. Some people are going to be affected in a positive way. So when others are actually building walls, that's when they're actually being affected in a negative way. And then others are actually benefiting from that technological innovation. So I would say that a couple of years back, there used to be what we call child labor, where so many business people were using children to make profits, and they made a lot of profit from that time. So they were doing mining, and they would send a child who is less than 14 years old to just go into the mines. And if there are gases, and that child doesn't come back, or that guy doesn't come back, they would know that it's hazardous and they are not going to do anything. And then there were also inequalities from the children there, where the children would ask for their wages for having worked, but they would be told that we've already given you some food to eat. So there's nothing that we can actually do for you. So from that time, things really changed. We had a time where we had the slave trade and everything like that. These were all schemes by business people who were trying to make a lot of profit from all those things. So we got to a time where there was some kind of thing, there were some kind of things that were related to mechanization, where everything now was actually being done by some kind of machine. So it was automated in a way. So that period was actually classified as the Industrial Revolution, because these changes that were happening to the businesses, they were radical. They were now termed um, a revolution. So if I were to classify all these technological revolutions, I would classify them into 4 parts that we are going to talk about. The first part was the Industrial Revolution, where we had the coal. We also had a lot of other things. I'm classifying this against energy and some of the key technologies of our time. And when we talk about the first industrial revolution, we know that there are things that came from coal energy, like the locomotive, or we call it the train. Then right now we still have some trains that are operated by coal. And then during the second industrial revolution, we had gas being used as energy, and we also had electricity. And this was in the during the First World War around 1914. And ever since that time, businesses became more productive, because now there were times when they were not using people in the field. They were now using machinery. And then the third industrial revolution was characterized by things like electronics and nuclear energy. And during that time, during the second industrial revolution, you'd note that the computer was the size of a football pitch. That was how big a computer was. And during the third industrial revolution, we saw that the computer shrunk to become like the size of a button. Right now, we have cameras that can fit on our buttonholes. And that was not the case before the third industrial revolution. And then I talk about the fourth industrial revolution, which is transitioning into the fifth industrial revolution. And some of the technologies that characterized the fourth industrial revolution were the internet, and also the issue of electricity that was coming from renewable sources, and also technologies like artificial intelligence, technologies like blockchain. Right now, there is money that is called crypto, that is benchmarked against blockchain, and that money is actually not governed by any government. It's actually just free will. And I would say now that we are in the fourth industrial revolution, so many people made millions of dollars because of this industrial revolution. I believe some of you know Elon Musk. He's also from South Africa. He made his money from the boom of the internet. And right now, we are in the boom of artificial intelligence. And the fourth industrial revolution is envisaged to end somewhere around 2030. and we get into the fifth industrial revolution. So enough of the history lecture. I'm going to just take you through a journey. So as I take you through this journey, I would like you to just look at this. I don't know if you can actually hear the sound from that end, but this small clip that I just played, I wanted to show you what the camera was like before 1816. Imagine that big rock that I just played was smeared with a lot of tar or some paint, and then people would actually be imprinted. The rock just comes and presses on people. I bet after have being taken a photo from that, you would actually have a headache. So right now, we actually see that the camera has actually evolved to something that is much smaller and that is less mechanical, like what you've actually seen. So as I start today, I would like to say, before you even go to church today, you have already used artificial intelligence at least 5 times. Some of you have picked your playlist using the Spotify platform. Some of you have actually been doing YouTube. You've actually looked at the YouTube feeds, and some of you have actually been on TikTok, and some of you have actually been on Facebook. Some of you have actually been on WhatsApp, and WhatsApp actually auto-corrected you. And some of you used your phones to enhance some of your images. And these are all uses of artificial intelligence. You would note that some of you have actually used Google Maps for route planning or to find where you were going. And these are all uses of artificial intelligence. So in our everyday life, you would note that artificial intelligence, we are actually using it everywhere. It's not a futuristic concept anymore because now in our smartphones, some of you are using iPhones, some of you are using Android phones. On the iPhone, you get to see the Siri. On the Android versions, you get to see the Google Assistant, on the Gemini Assistant. And you've actually seen that maybe some of you have traveled and you've had to have Google translate some of your things. These are all uses of artificial intelligence. And other examples are the Netflix. You go on Netflix and you get to have this software pick out some of the things, some of the movies that you like to watch. Maybe you've been watching a lot of cartoons or you've been watching a lot of action movies. When the next time you go there, it's actually studying your pattern, the pattern which you are actually connecting to it. And then when you go back there, it actually presents you with maybe the latest action movies based on your preferences. So this is now the miracle of artificial intelligence, a technology that can actually be able to recognize some patterns, just like what human beings do. So now, some of you might actually be asking, what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence, if I may put it in simple terms, I'm trying to put it in a very small, I had a lot of slides, so I had to trim some of them, but I'm going to give you the full presentation so that maybe you can share it, maybe either as a PDF or something like that. But one of the things that we want to define on artificial intelligence is it is a technology that is actually built to mimic human behavior. So what am I saying when I say it's going to mimic human behavior? It tries to do everything that a human being can do. So an artificial intelligence can actually be software, it can actually be hardware, and when it tries to mimic, so what does a human being do? A human being can talk. Sometimes we actually have some of these artificial intelligence tools being able to talk. A human being can actually hear if some of these systems have actually been subjected to sensors. They can actually be able to see and talk just like a human being. But what it cannot do is that it cannot eat like a human being because it's a machine, or it's actually based on a machine. So there are other myths that AI is robotics, but I would say that robotics is actually part of the technologies that can actually be that are powered by artificial intelligence. So we have a lot of other things. So in simple terms, if you're asked what is artificial intelligence, it's just a technology that tries to emulate human behavior. Full stop. So now, since we are talking about the future of work and also talking about AI being everywhere, I would like to say that as of now, knowledge workers are using artificial intelligence at work. And this is according to Microsoft and LinkedIn 2024, and also according to McKinsey and the World Economic Forums. So some of you might be asking, what is this McKinsey that I'm talking about? So these are all credible sources that I would say that when people want to get something that is really real, they actually go and look for the statistics on those particular sites. So we talk about people that are at work. They say that people who are in the knowledge management sector, 75% of them are using that technology, and the organizations that are using AI in greater than one function, maybe they are using it to write minutes, maybe they are using it to plan their events. That is maybe more than one function. They were actually credited to about 88%. That was in the United States of America. These are the leaders of AI. And leaders who won't hire without AI skills, they're saying that 66% of the companies are actually saying that if you don't have skills that are AI related, they are not going to hire you for any job. And then some of the employers that are expecting AI to transform their businesses by 2030, 86% of them were actually saying that. So I'm going to now delve into what AI is all about. So we have a lot of different artificial intelligence systems, but I'm going to tell you the artificial intelligence system that is actually affecting you the most. That is what we call generative artificial intelligence. So generative AI is, as I said in the beginning, AI started in the 1950s, and it has actually been refined and refined. But why are we talking about it today? Because right now, the features that it has actually accumulated and the things that it can actually do has actually, the list of the things that it can actually do has actually grown. So you can actually see on this image, these are all images. You know, some of these men of the clergy, they don't really go to the beach, but this generative AI platform was asked, can you give us an image of the Pope at the beach? And there you have him at the beach, but he was not even at the beach. And then it was asked, can you give us the Pope dancing to clocks? And he was dancing to clocks, but he wasn't even the real person. But it looked so real, like that. And then in the bottom there, you can actually see the Pope smoking some weed. You can actually see Barack Obama with Martin Luther King taking a selfie. But you know, Barack Obama lived in the era of selfies and so on. But Martin Luther King died in the 1960s. A cell phone had not even been manufactured. So these are some of the things that generative AI can do. So now, looking at the bigger picture, still according to the World Economic Forum, they say that right now we are looking at about 170 million people that are formally employed, or that careers, people that are actually doing some blue or white collar jobs. And they're saying by 2030, maybe 92 million of these people might be affected. Their jobs might actually be down. And they're also saying that when we subtract about 92 million jobs, we are going to add about 78 million jobs. Moving on, some of you may be asking, which new jobs is AI going to create? Because we say 78 million jobs are also going to be created, according to their research. So right now, you can actually see that we have certain roles like artificial intelligence engineer. This job was not there like 5 years back. And what does this person do? According to LinkedIn 2025, this person builds AI products. And this is sort of like the fastest growing job for young workers because of that. But this job is also really math intensive. It really needs you to really know your math, because for you to be an AI engineer, 45% of the time you'd actually be doing a lot of math. And then for you to be an AI consultant, you might not need that much math, but this person helps companies to adopt AI wisely. And the third one, this one, I think everyone needs to be a prompt engineer. This one designs the instructions that gets the best output out of the AI systems. So for you to speak to an AI, we call that speaking to an AI, we say you are prompting the AI system. So when you become a prompt engineer, sometimes in a company, when you're a prompt engineer, you can actually be able to help the company get the best out of the AI system, or you can actually be helping everyone in the company, or maybe training them how to do that. And then we see this job called data annotator. For us to actually have AI, we can separate artificial intelligence and data. So it behaves like a human being because it gets to use statistics to actually have to actually be able to solve a particular problem. So the people that are actually helping those who train AI systems to behave like human beings, they are called data annotators. They label the data and help the AI to be more accurate, to read, see, and listen accurately. And this is normally an entry-friendly, entry-level job. And then we talk about AI ethicists. We look at people that are actually helping us to build a safe and fair use AI system. And these are sort of like roles that are coming up to just help us to bring sanity to the AI world. So in a nutshell, artificial intelligence is not just about those who are coders. Every industry is actually being affected by this artificial intelligence boom, and everyone needs to be AI fluent. I'm just taking just some of the places that have got the most number of jobs in our society, like healthcare. Right now, they're using AI to enhance their diagnostics and also do drug discovery. And because AI is so good at pattern recognition, it's also being used to detect fraud and for risk modeling. And according to the UNESCO in 2024, AI was actually deduced to have saved a number of teachers 6 hours of their week. And right now, I bet it's actually more than 6 hours for those who are using artificial intelligence. And then for those who are doing graphic designing, I think you can actually see that AI can actually create so many good images, so many good videos, and it's actually saving them. And in cybersecurity, it's also helping them to do some threat detection. And in finance, people are also using it for trading. So now, which of the jobs can we technically say are going to be eliminated because of artificial intelligence? So we are saying that AI can technically automate about 50% of 57% of what we call a general employee or someone who does administrative work. And to talk about that, maybe those who are doing repetitive careers that have got a lot of repetitive tasks. When I say repetitive, you're doing something over and over and it's being repeated on a daily basis, like those who are doing admin and office work. Maybe it affects event management, customer care. You are basically doing the same thing. So now we have what we call chatbots that are actually handling routine, some of these routine things. And you've actually seen some of these things at the airport. In basic accounting, if you're a basic accountant, most of the things are actually being able to be done by an accountant. Routine legal work like document reviews and research, that is in law. Basic content writing, that is the journalist, reports and summaries are being auto drafted. And right now, we actually find so many of the robotics robots in our manufacturing assemblies. And then we also talk about self-driving cars, where we see in the taxi industry, some of the people might actually be eliminated and everything like that. So the real risk is you not being prepared for this, as we rightfully said. So you might be asking, what should I do if I'm actually in this world of AI? We have what we call technical skills and we have what we call human skills. AI has not been really good at emulating some of the human skills. Sometimes it's good at communicating, but sometimes it also needs you to actually be the human in the loop. And these are some of the things that you need to know. And you note that AI is being built by people who are in the English-speaking communities. So right now, as of now, the best you can do is to also be able to express yourself in English so that you can actually get the best out of these AI systems. Yes, we are building AI systems for the Bantu languages and everything like that, but we are not yet there. And then on the technical skills, you need to be able to do the prompt engineering that I talked about, the data literacy, being able to understand what the patterns are all about so that your use can actually be felt. And then, digital safety. These are some of the other things. So now someone might be asking why technical fluency pays. Technical fluency pays because it's a new thing. And so many people, because what they don't know about, they pay for that. And you've actually seen that right now, people who have actually presented with AI skills are actually being paid 56% more than those that don't have those tech AI skills. And we can actually see that coming from Burning Glass as of 2025. So I'm going to leave some of the other things on my presentation, but I would like to say you need to start using AI tonight. You might be asking, how do I get to start? There are a lot of free places on the internet that can actually help you to learn some of these skills and actually earn some certificates, like the Google AI Essentials. It's actually a free platform, as long as you've got the internet access, like the Canmigo, the Free Code Camp. It has got a lot of free AI training. So this is AI training in various places. This is maybe on the software side and then on the hardware side. And Coursera as well. And then Gemini and ChatGPT and Claude, they actually have some free certificates that can actually just help you and to get started. And you can add that to your CV. Before you even go to college, you can even start earning some money. Or maybe when you get to college, you might actually be better than the rest of the team. So now, I just want to show you some of the real world stories that are out there about AI, or people that are just like you and me that are using AI. You get Jintali there. She used an AI image recognition, and she's also a teenager like most of you guys here. And she was named the Time Kid of the Year because she used AI for producing clean water, and she got to win that award. And then Tan May, who is 14 years, also became the youngest IBM certified AI developer, and is actually able to teach what we are calling machine learning to other students online. And then you can see Sameh, he's 13. He built an artificial intelligence powered application to help those that are blind or visually impaired to identify objects around them. And here you are, you might be saying, I'm too young to do that. You're not too young. If the other guys actually doing it, you can actually do that. So I just want to show you briefly in these 4 to 5 minutes, as I'm about to conclude, some of the use cases of AI in our everyday life. I'm going to ask, can you hear did you hear did you get the sound on the last video I played?
No, we didn't. I think we're muted. Can you unmute me?
Hello?
No, we didn't, Prof.
Yes, were you getting the sound?
No, we
on the
didn't hear the
video that
sound.
You are getting it? Okay.
No.
You are not getting it?
Yes, we are not getting the sound.
Okay, let me see if I can do that. Help you with that. The sounds. Let me see if I can look at the. I just want to see. I have to adjust the sound. Microphone, the sound. Okay. I'm looking at the sound. Maybe let's see. Okay, maybe I'm going to share the I'm going to share I can share the videos after, but in just 6 minutes, let me just explain these videos. I'm saying that virtual reality is actually being used. AI is actually being used in virtual reality. In court, you can actually see that someone who is an AI expert is actually using AI to guide the guard, to guide the judge, and the judge is actually able to relive the experience of the plaintiff and everyone who is in the courtroom to actually see if it warranted some self-defense, because there was someone that was murdered, and the person, when the person was go to court, he said that I was I was I was acting in self-defense. And then to the right there, you can actually see a granny using those this one here, these and so on. So I'm going to go to the next one. If you actually see that video there, someone might be asking, what is uh, which video is the real one? The one on top or the one in the bottom? I'm going to play it.
Are saying bottom.
Alec, you can't hear anything
We can
here.
see they're saying the one at the bottom.
The one in the bottom, yes, because today we use the joker. But if we had used a real person, because right now we can substitute anyone in the video, and it's so simple, you just go online, you get to see that. So this is the advent of what we call deepfakes, where you actually have to use artificial intelligence to create fake content. And then I get to, you see this passport image here. It looks so real, but it's a fake image. It was created by artificial intelligence. It just needed your image and your signature, and then it created that. So now the know your customer thing that was actually happening, where you could actually send some of your images or a scanned copy of your identity card. It doesn't work anymore because artificial intelligence can actually create that. Now, we have a technology that is called, concluding in 4 minutes, we have a technology that is called digital twinning, where we can create a digital twin of yourself. So there are people who manipulated that, and they created an AI scam where the finance director was the only person that was invited to a meeting. And then when he got to the meeting, the other 12 people that were in the meeting, they were all digital fakes. So the digital fake of the CEO asked the finance director, can you transfer 25 million to this cryptocurrency account? Because they were always doing that in meetings, the finance director didn't suspect a thing. And then he transferred, because with crypto you can even transfer up to $500 million and everything like that digitally. So he transferred 25 million. Luckily they had recorded the meeting, and then after the meeting, the finance director called the CEO. You didn't acknowledge. Then he said, no, I didn't order you to do anything. That's when they saw that they had been duped of $25 million using a virtual call. To the right there, you see Jay Schuster. He's a celebrity, and his voice was cloned. And right now, we just need 25 seconds of your voice. We can clone it using AI. So sometimes these are the bad things of AI. So, like everyone would say, if you are asked, do you love AI? Everyone would raise their hand. If you're asked, are you willing to deal with the ethical guidelines? No one is willing to do that. Are you willing to take the responsibilities for the decisions and algorithms that AI has done? We might not find anyone there. To the right there, we can see a classical example of when AI was asked, can you give us Mother Teresa fighting against poverty? Because the internet is awash with pictures of Black children as poverty. It brought that image. That's how biased the systems are. Since videos are not playing, I'm going to play that. But I'm going to conclude by saying the future doesn't belong to the smartest kid in the room. It belongs to the curious, the kind, and the faithful. And I would like you to be one of them today. You need to go and build something that helps somebody this week. You need to actually use AI for problem solving, and you need to actually get these skills that are artificial intelligence powered. to actually navigate your way in the 21st century. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much, Prof. Just a quick one before you dash. I wanted to find out if you have time to take some questions from the audience.
Yes, I certainly have time to do that.
All right, thank you. Maybe let me open the floor. From the presentation, you spoke about the different careers that need, that we can start looking into in terms of AI. But there's the notion that our jobs are going to be replaced, and perhaps the school curriculum is not keeping up with what the future of careers is demanding. So how can you balance where the curriculum, is it CAPS, is it IB, is it Cambridge? We're still learning what our parents learned, whereas in the environment, in the corporate environment, the skills that I now need to execute my job do not match my qualifications per se. How can we bridge that gap?
Okay, I'm going to try to answer it, though I think there were a lot of echoes. I couldn't really clearly get to hear you. But if I'm not mistaken, you said that how do we bridge the gap between what's happening in the reality with curriculum is not moving at the same pace as the pace that is actually it's not moving at the same pace as the pace that we at the that AI is actually transforming our world, is it?
That's correct.
Okay. So I would say that number one, the biggest challenge that we are having with artificial intelligence is that it's moving at a normally for people to react over the years, they have reacted they've been reacting with or taking time to react. So especially when it comes to technology, they would wait for it to mature and then they react like 3 to 5 years down the line. There was one conference I went and there was this director and I asked him, are you going to adopt this AI at your workplace? And then he said, no, you know what? We're in Africa. We'll catch up. There's no need, there's no hurry in Africa. But well, what AI has actually done in 4 years, when it was created in 2022, or when it was what we call consumer-friendly AI systems were introduced, where anyone can just go on Google and they are exposed to AI, has happened, and the features that have actually been created over every 3 months have actually shown us something to be different. So maybe if I can answer in not in so many words, I would like to say that curriculum sometimes is going to change slower than usual. I would recommend that you get some skills that are actually looking at that. I know that with universities, they are actually moving faster than how curriculum is actually being built, like for secondary school and for primary school. So if possible, you could actually bridge the gap through training, training yourself through some of these online courses, and also being able to participate in some of the activities that are happening out there, like hackathons, boot camps. You get to learn a lot of things through those events.
Thank you for that. We have a question from the audience.
Hi, Prof. Thank you for the lesson and the teaching. I wanted to ask several questions. The first one is for the kids here in high school that are going to university. we are looking at, for example, computer science. It took me 2 weeks to build an application using cloud, and a monitoring application for an enterprise environment using cloud. Even though I'm in IT, coding was never my strongest suit, but now because of AI, I'm able to do things that students are going to learn for the next 2 or 3 years. So the first question is, for those aspiring IT engineers, those aspiring to go into the field of IT, or just in general, would you recommend them to go and study computer science, or would you instead recommend them to do something else which is tailor suited within the IT environment? For example, you spoke about AI, and there are different types of AI. That's the first question. And then the second question, uh, I'm not sure if you touched on this, but uh, I wanted to ask about your thoughts with regards to hallucinations within the AI environments, because we've noted that almost all the AI platforms that we have, be it Claude, be it Gemini, all of them have a certain level of hallucination within them, to a point whereby if you don't proof check some of the data, it can actually be misleading and in some cases very dangerous for those that are working with that data. So I just wanted to get your thoughts with regards to that. Yeah, those are my 2 questions for now.
Okay, so if someone, okay, yes. Hello. Sorry,
Not
I
sure
think
if you got the 2
I
questions,
interjected when
Prof.
someone was speaking.
Yes, 2 questions were delivered.
Uh,
You want to go again?
Yeah, let me start with the first question. For someone who is in high school who wants to study IT, do you still recommend them to go and study computer science? The reason why I'm asking this question is we have seen that with the advent of AI, I'm able to do in 2 weeks with AI something that is taking people 4 years to study in university. So my first question is, would you still recommend someone to go and study computer science in university in this current climate, in this 5th industrial revolution that we are in?
Okay. Um, I'm going to I'm going to answer with 2 things for the first question. So for the first question, I would say for the high school guys, there are so many things that are actually happening in college. College, I mean high and tertiary. Maybe someone is going to a technicon, or someone is going to go to a university, or someone is going to go to a teacher's college. So one of the things that's happening is that the curriculum is not changing as fast as we would want it to be. Everyone would want to go into AI, or maybe into something that is related to AI, like data science, like data analytics, like business intelligence. But the truth of the matter is that the technical or the university is going to also be able to just take just a few of you guys at a time. So if you are going to look at the first preference, I would recommend that you go for the focused one that is maybe more focused on AI, or something that is very related to AI, what's happening. Like the previous 5 years have actually shown that you can actually do other things like cloud computing. But right now, the thing that is trending is artificial intelligence, but you still need cloud engineers, even though you might want to say you can have a combination of cloud engineering and AI engineering. So I would say that in this day and age, you if you there is no other option, you can also take the computer science, but you need to actually invest in certifications that are related to AI. Like what happened in my case, my first degree was in computer science. My master's was in business information systems. My PhD was in computer science, focusing on machine learning. My postdoctoral was in artificial intelligence, focusing on AI and data for sovereignty, which is more like data science. That's where I became like a full-time AI person. But you'd look at computer science. These are all, I would say these are all career paths that are generic, in that you can actually do almost anything. So if you are a person who wants to do almost like everything, I would recommend that you do that. But if you want to go focused and just do AI only, that would be the best way to move forward, because right now those are just some of the jobs that are out there in AI. I didn't talk about some of the other smaller jobs that are also related to data, because you can go to be a data engineer. You can also become a database administrator. These are all data related roles that are also in the AI field. And sometimes they also need a little bit of computer science. So in 2026, I think you can still do that. But my recommendation would be to go for something that is more focused, because most of the times when you go focused, you get to be paid more. And right now, it's the boom of AI and it's trending. And so many companies are actually creating AI departments as compared to what was there before. And then the last question, the hallucinations one. We talk about AI statistics.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I interjected. Over to you.
Okay, so in fact, let me just put all my questions. I've got two last questions. The first one was, I wanted to ask about hallucinations within the AI platforms, the different platforms. What are your thoughts? And then the last question is data security. For example, as we all know that AI works because of the stuff that we put into it. The more we interact with it, the more the models learn and the more they become better. But for the students that are currently in the audience, I wanted to ask about data security. For example, like there is sensitive data. For example, maybe there's someone in grade 12, they're having a hard time with a certain concept, and then they put that data on an open source AI model, for example, Gemini, and because this is how AI works, according to my understanding, is if you put something like that, AI will take that information that the student has put, and then it would continue to learn and refine it, and then use it for other people that would want to access something similar. So in a nutshell, I wanted to get your thoughts on, yeah, data.
Okay. Oh, those two. Okay. I'm going to start with the one for AI hallucinations. So the way AI is created is that it's a result of probability. So it's sort of like using math to guess something that is near what we might actually what the answer might actually be. So let's say we've got a sentence that says the sky is blue. So when the AI is actually exposed to that, I would say a sentence a million times, it can actually see that when you say the sky is, maybe the probability of it being blue would be closer to 1. And then it just gives you the answer, the sky is blue. But it can actually be wrong, because maybe the data that it got for training was actually making it to behave in a way that is not normal to human behavior. That's where we call hallucination. So to some extent, every AI tool, whether it's the best, whether it's a paid one or a non-paid one, is going to hallucinate to some extent. So when you use AI, you need to be cautious, and you need to note that at some given time or point, it's going to hallucinate, and yeah, you should actually be verifying and validating the facts. So long back, we used to have something that we called zero trust and verify later. Right now in the AI era, I would say verify and trust later. You should not always believe what AI systems tell you. But the paid versions, they do a better job at doing these verifications or removing these hallucinations. So you're not going to operate in a vacuum. You just have to know that these systems hallucinate. Maybe sometimes it can hallucinate 1% of the time, but the bottom line is it hallucinates. And then the last one for the data and security, you need to actually be cautious of what you put on the AI. You know, sometimes we go on the internet and then we just go and tick, I agree. Like when you open your Gmail account, you don't even know what you're agreeing to. Maybe we can actually be saying, I agree to you using my face as the face cover of Gemini. And then you see your face cover of Gemini, and then you sue them, but they will always win the suit because you ticked on I agree with you. So to just put that in 30 seconds, you should use data that you don't need only. If you use data that is sensitive on the AI platforms, it can actually be used for things that you can't control. Like for instance, the moment you put something on the digital platform, just consider it to be gone. Just consider it not to be yours. You know, these other people who actually shoot themselves naked and they transmit them on WhatsApp and they think that no one is watching. Then one day their phone is hacked and all those images go on the internet. So you should actually just be in that vacuum of knowing that only remove all personally identifiable data when you are uploading to the internet. I don't know if I have tried, some of these topical issues. I might need even another lecture to just talk about cybersecurity or something like that. But I know that the teenagers meanwhile, we can actually be available for more questions. Yes.
Thank you so much, Prof. I think that was well executed. Should there be any other questions? Because I know you have another engagement, so we're going to release you. We will, however, be making contact with the other questions so that the Ablazers really have sufficient information in how to navigate and engage AI responsibly. Thank you so much for your time. I think we will release you at this point. Can we just give Professor Manivi a round of applause?
Okay. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. You're done. Bye.
All right. Bye, Prof. Thank you so much. Ablazers, what a wonderful, informative session once again. Our lunch is ready. Maybe let me just ask Pastor Melda if she has an announcement in how we will proceed. Thank you.
Amen. 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 Wow. Are we learning? Did we learn? Are we going to look at what we have learned and think about it? So this coming week in the group, we are reflecting. Right. Soft skills and AI, we are going to have questions. We are going to reflect. Right. Let's listen to instruction. Remember what I said, good manners are very important. Good manners are very important. When someone is speaking, you listen. Right. And you heard what Deborah was telling us, is it? There's some small things that will make us not to get jobs or make us not to be recommended. Right. And I want to guide those that are misbehaving today to change their behavior. I don't want to be moving you and I don't want to call you to the front. Right? Yes, let's be well disciplined as young people, the future pastors, the future leaders, the future CEOs, and all other portfolios that you can have. So now we are going to have lunch. So lunch is going to come to your doorstep. So no one is going to move to the table or anywhere. If you are not at your place, there's no lunch for you. Is the instruction clear? Yes, and after you have eaten, you take your food container to the, otherwise they won't employ you. And then you take your water bottle, which is empty, to the, and then you take your drink container to the, yes, I'm seeing bad manners. I'm seeing bad manners. I'm seeing bad manners over there. Bad manners. Right? Right? Yes, let's be well behaved. So please, can you be seated? And at exactly 1:15, we should be ready to go on with our program. 1:15. So you've got, I don't know how many minutes, 30 or so minutes to eat. The bathrooms are inside. I showed you. No one is going out of the auditorium. Am I clear, guys? No one. Everyone is eating here. If you want the bathroom, you go to the bathroom. So lunch is served. So we're going to enjoy our lunch. Right. Okay. So we'll talk again at 1:15. This is Elvis. And then from there, the breakaway rooms will be ready. So we'll fix them now. Funis, Ninja, that's happy. Yeah. No animals. No animals.
She was
Yeah.
racist. Yeah, no.
Yeah, move on.
Two, two,
So,
two.
monitoring abantwana ukuthi at least baqale bese. Can you switch the mic? Yes. So
One, two.